History Through a Comic's Lens by Jeremy Barrios. To many kids, history seems like a force-fed subject that doesn't add any relevant value to their lives. They would much rather run home to the fun and whimsical comic books. At least they're not as intimidating as the reality that's exposed in a history book. This must understandably frustrate the parents of these children, parents who would likely take away their comic books and demand them to finish their history homework. There is, however, a win-win solution. For obvious reasons, there's a distinct separation between a school subject and comic books, but there have been many instances where a comic book includes a historical event into their stories. Those comics may have the potential to introduce these events in a way that captures the minds of children and enable an excitement for American history. Throughout the continuity of popular superhero comic books, authors and illustrators use incredibly wise tactics to successfully integrate the state, the culture, and most importantly, the perspectives of the United States of America in their fictional realm of superheroes. Those stories are structured in a way that is especially illuminating to children and is told so that the villains never taste victory. But in the real world, villains and heroes are heavily subjective and only one side will stand triumphant. So how do these subjective views translate into the comic book realm? After lots of research, I have found not a single story of any real-life events in popular comic books that is not told from the American perspective. Let me paint a picture. The United States of America has been the beacon of hope and freedom around the world since the Revolutionary War. The reasons why the colonists fought to create America and how wicked fast it has developed considering its age all stand as a testament that freedom was not only achievable but unbelievably effective. The country's decision to fight in the Cold War was based primarily on these notions. Because communism represented the polar opposite of what it meant to be free and effective, the United States felt responsible as a world leader to prevent it from spreading any further. Superheroes stood for the core American values of freedom and capitalism, to work hard and diligently for what you earn, while villains oppressed those views with power-hungry and demeaning hypocritical morals. For example, the origin of the Fantastic Four derives from a quest into space to, quote, beat the commies. This is a direct allusion to the 1960s space race between the USA and Russia's USSR. It was an unbelievably huge deal for the American people. When achieved, it became the defining moment that solidified US superiority over the communist regime. In the Marvel Universe, this is how the Fantastic Four, the first superhero team to ever hit the comics, gained their powers in their space mission to beat the commies. Even Iron Man's origin story emerged from a desire to best communists during the Cold War. Iron Man's introduction as the owner of a weapons manufacturing company in 1963 told, quote, a narrative on the importance of the military-industrial complex to the American experience in the midst of the Cold War. Creators strategically promoted a pro-weapon perspective during a time where the United States was building an alarming amount of atomic bombs to impose a nuclear deterrent against Russia. In the modern day, the catastrophe of 9/11 created one of the most powerful ripples a single event could create. Airports are forever changed, the Department of Homeland Security was formed, terrorists were crowned the center of attention, and Muslims instantly became the face of it. Author Jason Dittmer states in his response to the abhor of 9/11 that, quote, when such sentiments turn up, hidden within the star-spangled nostalgic package of comic books aimed at kids, we need to confront the deep cultural malleance affecting the nation on the eve of war. Creators needed to have addressed the situation to send a clear message about the events of 9/11 in a way that's easy for their customers to digest. With another kind of ideology that heavily opposes the typical American perspective and even terrorizes it, one might expect for superhero comic books to take the same route they once did with communism. Instead of creating a Muslim villain that seeks to perish all infidels and lay waste to Western civilization, Marvel decided to introduce Miss Marvel, a teenage Muslim American superhero. This was surprisingly a big deal. Marvel was pushing a statement that connected more ideas than just 9/11. Not only did Marvel attempt to ease the tension between ideologies, but they did so in a way that shows how special this character truly is. Miss Marvel is a woman who doesn't at all need femininity to be successful in or outside of the comics, and a Muslim who morally lives up to and even beyond her own name. Recognizing Marvel's risks, author Dean Cooper Cunningham states that Miss Marvel is an important popular culture artifact that comes out of a multi-billion-dollar global industry spanning a bandwidth of widely consumed media. Comics are sites of knowledge. Analyzing them enhances our understanding of international policies because they meld popular culture and politics in unexpected ways. The introduction of Miss Marvel is a testament of a slight shift in perspectives of the US over time, that they're a bit more accepting of different identities even though it's contradiction to their own. It proves the understanding of the importance of the right to have the freedom of religion Americans proudly enjoy. Considering that comic books were created and fostered in the United States of America, explains why popular comic book companies tell stories through those lenses. Authors continue to allow their current events to play active roles in the plots and characters written in their storylines. When using current wars as an influence in comic books, creators never doubted the US alliance with good and its enemies with that of evil. Origin stories proved to be an effective strategy that writers crafted to maintain a confident and stable image of the state of US at war. The rise of political correctness also proved to be a current event worth integrating into comic books. Comic books strive to embody the perspectives of more than just the US government, but of US citizens alike. Comic books have turned themselves into objects of American culture, and as time continues, current events enrich that culture. For this reason, comic books never fail to keep up with current events in new and imaginative ways in order to maintain relevant, enlightening, and patriotic.